Hey guys, talk about RVSN, right? Strongest stock of the day. Um, First day in a while where all my trades didn't work. I had all losing trades today. So ENSC trade and this trade were two low float runners, and market has been weaker, so I've been looking for weakness on these strong pushes, past key liquidity levels, and I thought we were going to get a really sick kind of market open long trap, right? There's a down only structure
Executed.
in the
Executed.
pre-market, and I noted in my Discord, I said in my Discord, I was like, hey, RVSN, it gave this high day clear out in the pre-market and it went down only, nothing but lower highs for like 30, 40%. And we always learn that when there's a lot of excessive down only, that there's always potential that you get some type of high volume rotation, right? So I was looking for some type of strength, but I was looking to short into it. I wasn't looking to go long because the long continuation recently has been so bad that on this market open push, we pushed past pretty much every lower high except high day. I think high day was at 380s, 389, and then it started to stall right into 370s, and I'm like, you know what, this might be um, a great entry. Do some hyper aggressive move in a weaker market and then pull it. And initially it was working. I was actually about 50 cents in the money, but I was looking, the 1 minute 200 was farther down here. I was looking for that as a profit target. And then yeah, they did this super aggressive rotation through the 370s, which was a painted lower high level. And a few people in my room actually went long this. They went long based off the book down here, and I'm like, that's not a bad long. Um, if because of how crazy the market open volume was. Look how high and consistent this volume is, right? This is, you know, a recipe for possible very strong rigged moves, right? So anyway, I knew that 375 level was really painted, so I put my risk in the high 370s and I got stopped out before the high day clear out. Now, this high day clear out was really interesting because if you look here, this high day clear out is the largest volume candle of the day. And I always say on really, really strong stocks, high day clearouts are not good shorts, right? In a weaker market like we've been seeing this month, high day clearouts have been working, but they've been working on stocks that overall aren't trading 1 million shares per minute consistently and setting very short trappy um, patterns in at market open, right? We're seeing just pre-market high day clearouts, market open high day clearouts just go down, but this is a totally different situation, right? This is a multi-day runner. Multi-day runners always have um, potential for very strong rigs because it often means the rigger has been accumulating shares over multiple days, right? So multi-day runners are inherently harder to short. Um, and then the volume and the lower high paint, right? The lower high paint here. So actually, when I got stopped out on this push, I actually wasn't looking to short the high day clear out. I thought that um, the price action was strong, the volume was strong, and then when it knifed down here, I instantly said in the Discord at the bottom of the knife, I was like, this has clear out, high day clear out short trap, which is where you just give a high day clear out. You knife it 10%, 15%, or whatever, and you throw up a bunch of bids and you rotate it back towards highs, right? And it ended up being what was annoying about it is I thought that was a big possibility, so I was avoiding the short, but I missed the long because I've been, this month has been so weak that I don't want to be long biased on stocks that are pushing high day, multiple times, right? So, um, but I was looking at the book, I was looking at the trade, um, what do you call it? I just didn't go long and I didn't go short. Now, now we're gonna go to this part of the structure right here. This part of the structure. I'm actually just because um uh maybe I can like zoom in a little bit on this. Think about this part of structures. We got a new high day, new high day, new high day. I overall, when I decide that a stock is really strong, I never like shorting new high days. I like to short patterns like this one that look like they're going to break high day but don't, right? I usually tend to think that on the really strong names, um, a lot of the high day clearouts are just short traps. You just get high day clear out, high day clear out, high day clear out. Like, look, we get one, two, three, four in a row, and then a squeeze. And the reason the squeeze is so big is because of how many shorts are piling in on the high day clear out weakness, right? So I thought, okay, we got a big short squeeze here. I managed to avoid all this stuff, right? I got stopped down in the morning, but now I managed to avoid a lot of the strength. We got a nice big squeeze, and now we got the 5-minute 9, 1-minute 50 catching up right here, and I am liking these lower highs, and I like the big strong rotation. I'm like, all right. Um, and based on the book, there were a lot of ask up here too. So I was like, oh man, there's a lot of ask at like 480s to $5, and this is your kind of classic 5-minute flag trap. There's a bunch of higher lows that are painted. You know what I mean? This is already squeezed shorts right here. The market, as far as I know, isn't crazy strong. Um, Let me short into the 480s, and then I just risked up near $5 because that's where the ask was, and I ended up getting stopped out on the top of this wick, and then it came back down, and I'm like, oh man, was that the short? And I didn't want to chase, and then it ended up just being really soaky and grindy, and I'm just like, well, I'm not going to touch this. And then we're going back to the high day clear out thing, where it's like high day clear out, and then big squeeze, right? I really don't like chasing into high day clearouts on these strong ones, man. I really don't. And then I just didn't really have a read. Again, we get the same thing here, like high day clear out, high day, like all these new highs, and then quick pullback, 1 minute 20 squeeze, and I just stopped trading it. I was like, I just don't have to read. This is really strong. Like I said, on these strong ones, I usually do like to wait a solid 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes for some type of structure. So if it's just going like, you know, if it's just going up to 1-minute 9, 1-minute 20, I'm usually just avoiding it, and that's also why I avoided a lot of this. And now this is actually still holding up, by the way. I'm making this video right at the end of the day. It's 2:35, um, or 3:35, and then it's still going sideways. It's still in this channel, this like 7.8, this 6.8 channel. Maybe it goes on some crazy after hours push, so we'll see. Um, but we'll go over the chart first. Maybe get a closer look at the chart. As you see here, I have sorry, moving this around. I literally just have an alert where these all these lower highs are. I was hoping a great backside pattern is you paint lower highs. Um, See here, lower high, lower high, lower high. You swipe support and then you rotate it. I was really hoping this push was going to break all these lower highs and maybe go to 8, right? Do it all in one big motion, right? Down, big aggressive move towards 8, and then pull it, right? That's a classic low floaty type move. And then instead, it just stalled. It just stalled and created another lower high. So now we have, and I don't want to do that. I want to short liquidity moves where, shorts getting stopped out, and where the liquidity event is um, you could tell what liquidity they're going for. In this case, it's just when I see another lower high, I'm just like, dude, it's another lower high. It's just going sideways. After hours is coming up soon. I think if this keeps going sideways into the after hours, it has potential for some type of move. Um, a lot of times after hours moves happen because the order book during intraday is too thick. The order book, there'll be like 20, 30, 40K orders kind of holding this down, and then the after hours comes and those orders aren't there anymore and they push it, right? That's really common. Um, but yeah, let's go to pre-market. I woke up and the stock was already down here. And I'm like, oh man, high day clear out right at 7 a.m. and they dumped it. I was like, weak market, man. They just went for the high day clear out and they dumped it straight down only. But then I was like, all right, guys, like pre-market's a little dead right now, which it was in low float. So I was like, look how down only this is. Look at all this empty space. And then, when in terms of market open rigs, you really want to see the candles. The candles that have the most volume have the most potential for pushing. So this was a market open long I missed, but that was just because I wanted to get in on the short, right? So if we go to here, we see this hyper aggressive move, takes out all these lower highs, um, but starts stalling right at high day. And I really liked how aggressive this candle looked right here. I liked how it wicked and then pushed really strong. And then 370s started feeling really heavy, so I shorted in the 360s. And if we go to the book back here, we can actually see the ask, right? So let's crunch here. We see not a lot of bids were really following this up. I saw the ask near the 370s and 380s, and I saw a lot of selling happening on 370 on this push. So I was like, okay, let me just short here and risk above these guys. And it was doing this like crazy choppy whippy, like look at this, like down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, like it was doing all these like crazy 30-cent moves. And I'm like, all right, well, look at all the layers of ask I have. And then they did a little second push right here with no bids under it, and they pulled it. I'm like, oh great, weak market stuff. Glad I didn't get stopped out. But then, yeah, here's the high day clear out, right? You always got to remember that, you know, uh, on these dumps, right? On these types of dumps right here, it creates a lot of empty space. You always got to remember that. Like in a weaker market, you get weak bounces, and it rolls over, right? And that's what I thought was going to happen. Even though this is a bullish factor, I thought it was going to at least go to the 1 minute 200, and I would at least make 60 cents on the trade on my first cover. And then yeah, once I saw this rotate back up, and then I started looking at the book, I'm like, oh man, I was like, look at all these bids here and follow up bids here, and then this is pretty, especially once they took this out. You gotta understand when they take these ask out, like here and here, it creates an emptier book to the upside. So if they throw up bids, I saw this bid structure, and I saw it start to push, past this like 20K ask and start pushing. I'm like, oh man, I might get squeezed. And since we had this lower high chart paint, right? Go back to here. We got lower high, three lower highs and then high a day. I was like, there's always potential that once it squeezes past 375, it could go straight up. So I just put my risk up there, and I just got stopped out. And then here's the high day clear out short trap, guys. Here's that big volume candle. Here's the instant pullback, right? Nice little 15% pullback, and I'm like, man, I was like, this has the volume to do a high day clear out short trap, right? Where they just make, they give a really obvious short pattern and then they squeeze them, right? So I was like, let me look at the book. And then, yeah, this is your classic. I saw this all happen and I did nothing just because, the market was so weak. I just was not in that long mindset. And then, I mean, you see the dump, guys. You see the dump. You see the bids, and then here, like, you often want the bids to get tested multiple times. That's usually like there's always certain patterns where you have to react super quickly, but overall, on possible short trappy moves, usually you get like a bounce. That bounce has no bids. You see that no bids. Actually, they're pulling these bids, but then when it comes back down, you could see the new bids come in, and this is super. The book is really empty. Here's 18 layers of bids, and yeah, man, they just did another high day clear out, and then we keep seeing the same thing. these quick pullbacks, empty space. Here's all these bids. Another squeeze, another squeeze, and yeah, I mean, and then this was just super crazy. I wasn't really looking to short this. Um, I was paying attention here, but I didn't have a read. I did another high day clear out, and then yeah, look at this. They actually shoved like a 50K ask right here. It was holding it down, and then they pulled it, and then they just did that crazy, crazy squeeze, right? So, I was watching all that, and then I was like, all right, well, um, it's like how many squeezes? I always talk about counting structures. I'm like, how many up-only squeezes is a stock like this really gonna have, right? Especially because I know this move just shook out so many shorts trying to short these, high day clearouts um, that I'm seeing the 5 minute 9, 1 minute 55 minute 9 come in. I'm looking at what lower highs there are. So the only problem with this was also that this high was at 504, which it's very common. I did a whole video on fake half dollar whole dollar resistance. So the fact that it stopped right at a whole dollar and rejected it is a bullish factor, especially on a stock with this type of volume and momentum. Um, so I point out to my Discord, I'm like, this is a walk down. They're walking it down, right? You never want to chase this stuff. Wait for the structure, right? You don't have to guess high days, especially on stocks like this. Like there's so much volume and support that it's very unsurprising. I was like, here's the 1 minute 50 guys, and here's a rotation. I was looking for 4.8s just because that's where like this lower high was. And then we got this push, and that's why I shorted right here, and I got stopped out right here. And then we could look at the book on that. I thought on this push into the 4.8s, I had some risk up here, and I thought there weren't a whole lot of bids down here really holding this up. There was some lower, but there was none really. There was like one guy, but there wasn't a whole lot following this up. Um, And then I got stopped out on this push right here, like pretty much on the top of this push. And they did the same trick. Here's your fake $5 resistance, quick pullback. They throw up some bids, and they just keep doing this trick over and over and over again. At that point, I just wasn't interested. Of course, you always wish that you can. Here's another high day clear out, quick pullback into some bids. They just kept doing the same thing over and I didn't long any of it, sadly. And then yeah, they're just is it still in this range? Yeah, I mean there's a bunch now. There's a bunch of asks. This is right towards the end of the day here. Um, I really don't know what they're going to do with this. I don't know if this is just going to keep going on a multi-day run. If they're going to do some after hours move. Um, you could see the consolidation right now. Um, maybe there's a short opportunity in the after hours. Maybe it pushes up here and then pulls. Who knows? Maybe it just dumps. I mean, who knows? But I'm not in it. So, rough day. Never fun. Um, definitely one of the strongest stocks in a month. And yeah, so a little ENSC. We had a very similar situation to BFRG and AVI where we had lower highs, all these lower highs right next to each other, and it squeezes lower highs. And again, I thought we were going to get a weak market, so I actually shorted this candle, and then the volume got real thin. I hate thin volume like this. Um, and I actually stopped myself out on the push towards 180s, which I felt dumb, but they ended up coming up and swiping it anyways. So pretty interesting stuff. So, anyways, that's the video for today. Information down below about the Discord, and you guys have a good one. See ya.